So when we're talking about cutting something out of our lives, whether it's food or fat on our bodies or clients, downsizing, getting things under control, why do we want to cut things out of our lives? At least for me, it was so that I could have better control of my body, my day, my mind, my sleep, what I was eating. So for me, I started with the why, but see, here's what it all comes down to when you're talking about, say, practice management. So your business, how do you run your business? And it all comes down to the exact same thing when we're talking about losing weight. So I've lost 85 pounds over the last, I guess it'd be a year and 1 month. So I was just under 250, and I'm just call it 162 for the most part for a little bit now. And I went from size 18 on the neck to size 15. I went from 7.5 on my hat to a 7. I went from XL to probably more like XXL a lot of times, down to where I'm wearing smalls. My pant size was 42, now it's a 30. Now, if you roll back a couple of years, back all the way to May of 21, I've lost about 110 pounds. But I had a stroke in October of 21. And so cutting out excess is all down to one thing, that yes, it came to life or death for me to actually do it. And it doesn't need to come to life or death for you, because life or death, luckily, I landed on the side of life and not on the side of death with the stroke. So what is the one thing, JJ? Will you get to it, please? Healthy. Period. Why does anybody want to be healthy? So they can live longer. Why does anybody want to be healthy? So they feel better. Why does anybody want to be healthy? So they're around for the grandkids. Why do we want to be healthy? So that we can enjoy our retirement. We can enjoy life. So finding balance, finding moderation to then get to balance, in my opinion, it probably really comes down to the same thing for all of us. It's our health. So in practice management, the way that we run any business, whether you're selling cars or widgets or providing CPA services like I do, most, when they look at practice management, business management, they don't look at it like when you're losing weight, but they are very similar. And the reason I say that is that post-stroke, I've had to do both. I've had to find balance to get healthy physically and then also get healthy in my practice. So I've got an exercise when I'm doing seminars, and I don't mean exercise like we're getting up and doing jumping jacks. No, I'm talking about an exercise. So I say, if we're losing weight, or if we're looking at our business, what do we want to look like? And I'll have a picture up of several body types of guys. I don't know why. I'm just a gentleman. It seems rude to put various body types up of women. That's just me. But anyways, various body types up of men. And, you've got the man up there that's, buff. Next to that, you've got the man that, skinny, but not necessarily buff on top of it. Then you got the dad bod, mom bod, right? Got a little bit of a belly, some bigger than others, and still say it's a dad bod, but nonetheless, call it 10, 20 pounds. Now, I'm going to tell you this, I thought I had a dad bod, but when I was at 249, or at least when I took a weight measurement, I thought, well, when I hit 200 pounds, that'd be basically 50 pounds. I'll be a flat-bellied stud. And I had 200 pounds, and I was not anywhere near flat-bellied. So I think there's a lot of us that, like me, that did not realize really how much weight we're carrying around. I mean, I knew I was 247. At one point, I was 274. If you go back to May of 21. yeah, I knew I was that weight. But in terms of when I pictured my body, if I'm looking at the pictures that I put up in my seminar, I would have thought the difference between my body and then really being that skinny person next to the buff person easily would have been 50 pounds. And it really was not until I had lost 70 pounds and still then even had a little, minor, muffin top with my pants. And now that I'm at 162, I really don't have that. Just got a little bit, and that's because I'm not in shape yet. But what do we want our practice to look like? What do we want our business to look like? Probably in business we'd say the buff, the fit, women fit, great muscle tone, right? Or at least thin. Like, we all strive for that. I would assume none of us are like, yeah, I want to be that one over there that's overweight. And then of course you got the body weight that's very overweight, which would be then a picture of me. Picture of me at 110 pounds, and I'm going to be honest with you, I show it where I'm just in my shorts, my bathing suit. I got big old shiny belly at the lake with my buddies. That's 110 pounds over. So when I'm running my business, I would never go, yes, now I'm going to get a little blunt, and I don't mean to hurt anybody's feelings, but I'm now sharing me. I'm not talking to you. I'm just sharing my story of getting my practice, getting my business in balance, getting it right, getting it most profitable, getting it buff, and at the same time, getting my body healthy, skinny. I don't really want to be buff. I'm 51 years old. I think it's cool when I see people my age or older that are buff. It's like, man, that's really cool. I don't want to look like that. Now, I want my practice to look like that, and it does. But here's the deal. None of us go, yeah, I want to be that fat slob over there. That I'm pointing to myself up on the screen. Yep, that's when I was in college, like, yep, when I'm 51, I want to be 110 pounds overweight. I want to be a big old fat slob, undisciplined, with no balance, just eating whatever I want. I didn't set out to do that, and I wouldn't have thought it at the time. I'm at the lake celebrating Memorial Day weekend with my buddies. Well, I shouldn't say celebrating. We were just at the lake having fun on Memorial Day weekend. No one celebrates Memorial Day weekend. Also, same thing with my practice, but I'm going to tell you this. In 2015, I was both those things. My practice was a big old fat slob. Now, you wouldn't think it, because I had 13 employees. We're doing several million. We're doing, from 14 to 15, 16, 17. I'm got the statistics in my seminar, but we were up to right at 3,000 tax returns, and we're bringing in millions, and we're netting good money. 13 people. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4 CPAs out of the 13. Professional bookkeeper, administrative. Had a personal assistant to help me with things just administratively. Boy, I thought my practice was buff. It wasn't. You know why it wasn't buff? Because I wasn't having fun, number one. I wasn't enjoying it. And when we run a business, we should be enjoying it. And I get it's work. I don't mean like every day it's, a rainbow going up. I'm just saying we should enjoy it. And how would we define enjoyment in business? Well, everybody could be different, but it'd probably start with profitable with time off to enjoy it. Now, I didn't weigh myself for years, so who knows what I weighed back then. But I personally was a big old fat slob, and my practice was a big old fat slob. And part of that big old fat slob of a practice was we had farmers, we had a couple restaurants, we had a brewery, we had various businesses that, sold widgets. Now I focus still really on doctors and lawyers, service industry, but we had every kind of service industry you could think of. We had a few clients that were out of state. We had startups. We had multi-million, per year gross receipts type businesses. We had a business that ended up getting too big for us, went public. We had another business sold out for $50 million. And then we had the ones that are, Schedule C, making 50 grand gross. So we had every kind. We had clients that did their own books, clients that we did their books, clients that we did their books once a year, they did their books once a year. We had clients that had their financials on Excel. So from a health standpoint, for me, that also meant that I thought I was high on the hog, as in eating like a hog, right? Eating out, and when I say eating out, like, whatever I want, bring the dessert, I'll take another drink. No balance, no moderation, just whatever I wanted. So if really the common goal for all of us, if I can just name it, because it just seems kind of like a great common denominator, is our health. And if we can't go with that as enough of a motivator, because guess what? It wasn't enough of a motivator for me. I have kids. I want to stick around for them. Life and death, stroke. Life and death. I'm in the hospital in the stroke unit, and this is October 13th of 21, and the speech pathologist comes in and says, hey, I want to be able to clear you so you can eat and drink by yourself. So I've got a couple of simple tests, and at the time my body on the left side is completely numb, kind of somewhat weak, being able to grip. I had gone through and done all my tests. They came back and said, you don't have any clog this or clog that. You don't have a hole in your heart. Echo looks good. We don't see that we need to get you into surgery. We don't see any brain damage. This was probably about 2 hours into the stroke. Lasted about 3.5 hours. Numbness really turned into stars, and that didn't really wear off for about 17 hours. But I'm thinking, okay, well, done all the tests, the big things, and when I say I'm feeling good, I was just in good spirits, even though half of my body's numb. And I mean, like, right down the middle. Every toe, my heel, my knee, my thigh, the left side of my torso, my shoulder, my arm, every single finger, and it eventually went up my head and in the side of my face, just kind of drooping a little, and then it went down the back of my head, and it was just the left side. Speech pathologist says, I'm going to say two numbers to you, and I just want you to say them backwards to me. I don't remember what the numbers were, and quite frankly, my wife was the one that had to tell me this story. So let's just say the numbers were 5-4. So she says, give you two numbers, just say them backwards. 5-4. I don't know how to say that backwards to her. Chokes me up right now. I'm a CPA. Didn't have any brain damage, got cleared by the neurologist several times. All my work was looked over in the first tax season post-stroke. I don't have my stand, so I'm actually having to hold this thing. So if it's shaky, I apologize. She said, that's okay. Let's just try it again. I just literally can't figure out how to say that. She says, okay, I'm just going to say 5-4. Can you say 5-4? I go 5-4. She says, okay. And she hands me a clipboard, and she says, I just want you to draw a clock, just good old-fashioned clock. I look at the paper ready to draw, and I don't know how to draw a circle. Can't figure out how to draw a clock. Couldn't remember it. So then she showed me a picture of it, and I was like, okay. So I drew a circle, and she said, okay, do you remember, it has hands? Yes. She says, okay, make the hands be, and she gave me a time. I couldn't figure out how to put the big hand where the little hand was. I mean, I was trying, I was kind of in the right area of the clock, but I couldn't figure it out. And there's just several other things that I just couldn't repeat things back to her. She'd just tell me a 3-sentence story and then, ask me a question about it, and I couldn't answer her questions. So you talk about a motivator, but it took me a year really to take any action because I was so exhausted. So then guess what? I didn't have a choice. For 90 days, I didn't go into the office. I didn't have a cell phone. I didn't check email. I didn't do any work. I didn't talk to the office. I was sleeping a lot. I'm watching a show with my then girlfriend, fiance, now wife. And she told me that we were watching the show, and then I look over and I was like, oh my gosh, you just missed the best show. And she's like, what are you talking about? I've been sitting here next to you the whole time. We've talked about it several times. I was like, no, we haven't. And she says, well, what was the show? And I'm like, well, and I couldn't even remember the show. So that was about 10 days after the stroke, and it started to get better. But I was just so exhausted for 6 months. So during tax season, I didn't work overtime because I couldn't. Because they told me in the stroke unit, you will die if you work tax season like you have. You'll be dead. No two ways about it. With the weight you have, your blood pressure 180 over 120, and that's been that way for the last 6 months, the few times that you've gone in. Your blood pressure is just through the roof. Your cholesterol's through the roof. All these things are way out of whack. Your stress level is your contributor here. And I'm thinking, okay. So the long and short of it is I had to get balanced, and I had to get balanced quick in my practice, in my business. So that had to happen first before I found balance in myself. So it was a year after the stroke, and I know if you haven't had a stroke, you'd be like, well, I can't believe you waited a year to really get serious about losing weight. Well, I'm here to talk about it at least. So with the practice, thank goodness for Lona in my office, who we've been working together the last 6 years. I've known her longer than that. She worked at one of my big clients, and that big client, long story short, some of the family passed, and the business basically went away, and she came to work for me temporarily, and what does that even mean? I'm just saying, somebody I really trusted, okay? And we went through, which I don't even remember the process all that well, but I know we went through so many different ways to try and figure out how to downsize my practice. To where I, single-handedly, with Alona and one staff to help with taxes and administrative, could finish everything by tax season. Because that's what I said. I think we got to have a practice that everything's done by April 15th. That I can work no overtime. Can't work the weekends. So part of what I did is, in this practice management, similar to when I was losing weight, but I looked at, okay, so how many hours can I work? And let's just say it's pushing it at 40 hours. So how many hours is that in the 15 weeks of tax season? What's the average time for a tax return? What's the reality of how many tax returns we can handle? Of course, with me, had a phone call come in. I'm gonna hold it this way because the sun's behind me. So with the figuring out what we can handle, the next thing we thought is, well, what kind of client can actually meet our requirements to get everything done by tax season. So first thing was, well, what clients could we already easily get done by tax season? And then what are those traits of that client? And those traits of that client is we do planning with them all year. We have balance in terms of what we do with them, like with eating. So it wasn't once a year doing a fasting and trying to lose 30 pounds and then the rest of the year we just gain it all back. This is somebody that year-round we're doing planning. Year-round we're consistent, right? Same thing as what's really needed with diet and, I dare say, exercise. So we needed to pick clients that, you know, we didn't even have to ask, and the stuff would come in tax season and timely, and when we asked for something, they got it to us. So I had clients that were big. I had clients that, you know, $35,000 a year specific client. I had clients that were some of my very first clients all the way back to the summer of 1997. And I had allowed them to kind of do it however they wanted, and we just made it work. So many, when they think of practice management or they think of a diet, they look at what their circumstances are and then they go, well, how do I still have the same circumstances and then now I manage it? They don't really want to make any changes. So it's like, well, I really like to have dessert. So what can I do to still have dessert? I really got to have biscuits. So what do I need to do to have biscuits? And it just all goes out the window. Same thing with practice. It's like, well, we got 14 lions in the cage with a couple of tigers, a panther, an elephant, a couple of gorillas. So how do we manage this? Well, it starts with going, do we want to work with lions? Do we need an elephant client in here? So at the same time of looking at, well, how much work can I handle? Because in some ways, that's what's best for the client is actually being available to them. You know, so many times we just eat whatever we want, or we just take on whatever clients we want. And I've talked with groups and I say, and especially to CPAs, I'm like, you have a duty to your client. And it is not doing them any favors if you take on too many clients that you then can't best serve them all. You have a duty to your client. It's in the AICPA Code of Professional Conduct. You must be, in essence, have the ability to accomplish. Now, many CPAs that just think about, well, you know, we don't work in the oil and gas industry, so we have a duty to withdraw from clients that would require that, or we can't take those kind of clients on. Well, it's the same thing with availability, because what's availability lead to? The quality of what we're doing. Same thing with EAs. So just being a big old fat hog, bring on another client, and then sit around and enjoying complaining about it when you act like you don't want that. Basically, you're saying in practice management, I want all those animals in the cage, and then I'll figure out how to handle that. And it usually leads to, well, you just hire more people. That just leads to more stress. I did at 13 people. Same thing with eating, right? You can't really probably go, well, I want fried foods. I just want to have as many. You know, I want to have biscuits. I just want to have as many. And it's the same thing with like sleep. So if you're not managing your business well, you're not sleeping well. And if you're not sleeping well, you're not eating well, and you're not making good decisions. So why would I need to do any of those things? Why did I need to downsize? Why did I need to figure out what clients were best fit for me? Life or death. Okay, so don't call it life or death with you, call it health. Same thing with eating. No one wants to think about death. I also have my life insurance license, so I've sold life insurance, so I've had to talk about death with people, right? It is a reality. It is going to happen. There's not one person that has cheated that. Now, we all know that we can, because I've used the excuse, well, you know, people that work out all the time, right? They drop dead of heart attack, eat healthy, they're out running around, and drop dead of heart attack right there when they're just running. right? But if I'm going to give myself the best chance of living long and being healthy, then I got to have a practice that's manageable, that leads to a healthy life, that leads to healthy sleep, that allows me to eat, able to eat healthy, right? Have time to eat healthy, have time to take a break, have time to drink water. So when I went into doing practice management, I had to decide and not be approaching it with gluttony and going, well, I want the gorilla and the tiger and the panther and the lions and the elephant and a bunch of little monkeys in there and mice and all the little things and big things. And why not sell candles at the same time and sell shrubs out front? Oh, you need a haircut? Yeah, we'll find someone to cut your hair. Well, that was me. That was my practice. Well, why can't I have anything I want? I'll just count it. I'll just count how many biscuits and how many calories and how many carbs. I digress. So when I then approached eating better, it was like, okay, so do I want to be the fat slob? Do I want to have the dad bod? Because I want to live, and I want to live long, and I want to be healthy. So I removed choices. What does that mean? I said, well, I'm only going to drink water. So now I'm not deciding, do I want this or that, or the diet this or diet that? I was only going to drink water. Well, I got to have my caffeine. There's ways to have caffeine with water. Figure it out. And I was just going to eat single ingredient food. Meat, vegetables, and fruit. I missed my turn. So it wasn't, well, is it a candy bar that just don't have a lot of carbs, or it's got more protein, and so I can have the sugar and the chocolate because it's got some extra protein, and so the net in it's going to be healthy? Is it, well, it's Twizzlers and it's just full of chemicals but sugar-free? I didn't have to make those decisions. Well, right on there on the wrapper says it's healthy. Where in the world am I? All right, I'm going to have to continue this and check them. So I removed choices. I had to remove clients, so I didn't have to make a choice on, well, am I going to let them bring in 12 months of bank statements all at once? Am I going to just have to clean up the books because they didn't do the import of the accountant's copy? Am I going to just keep doing it even though they hadn't paid me since a year ago? Oh, they's a big client, so I better stay here late and work on it and work on Saturday. See, this is all my voice inside, right? So I removed choices. So there was no choice. I didn't have the client that needed to bring in 12 months or didn't pay me. Okay? I said, I'm going to keep 2 lions. I'll keep the gorilla. Don't need the elephant. I'll keep the panther. And everybody else out of here. See ya. Mice and monkey, just out. Unfortunately, it was tough. I was able to send them all to one CPA. The same thing with my diet. I'm removing choices. What can I drink? Only water. End of story. The end. Well, I can't do that. You know why you can't? Because you just said you can't. Amanda used to drink 12 to 15 Diet Mountain Dews a day. She can't stand the taste of it now. It's like drinking Drano. She only drinks water now. She used to need all that caffeine. She found some supplement that you just add to water and she gets a little caffeine. And now she just has one little thing in the afternoon. Remove choices. That's what you do. You don't just go, well, I got a big old fat mess. So I'm a big old fat slob. So how do I just keep being a big fat slob and feel better about it? got to make some tough decisions. Well, the easiest way for me, after 31 years of being a CPA and having my own business the last 26 years, was to remove obstacles. The same thing I finally decided with my diet, whatever it is. Now, you can't call it a diet. It's a diet because that's what you eat, but it wasn't a diet because I didn't go, well, I only do my diet 6 days a week, 1 day a week. I just let myself eat whatever I want. Where's that get me? Well, then it's 2 days and that's okay too. Well, it was just on a Friday afternoon. I was celebrating. No choices. Find the balance. Do what's best for you so that you will live and you will be healthy. All right, hey, thanks for tuning in. I'm here. I'm at the dentist. I got to end it. Thanks for tuning in. I'd love it if you'd subscribe. And then don't you ever forget, you've never met a CPA quite like me. You have a great one.